Just as Jesus sanctified poverty by entering into our world and choosing to be poor, so much so that he would be born in a lowly stable, so too Jesus sanctifies family life by entering into a family, by choosing Mother Mary to be his mother here on earth, and also Saint Joseph to be his stepfather, his foster father. And so Jesus, by entering into family life, sanctifies it. He chose to enter into family life. He could have chosen to enter into our world in any number of ways without entering into a family. And yet he didn't do that. He chose to enter into a family, to grow up in a family, to be sanctified and to sanctify within a family. That was his decision and his choice. This family, which we celebrate today, is the Holy Family. And we have to be careful sometimes when we use that expression, Holy Family. I say that because it's so easy to just create a caricature of the Holy Family, to think that Mother Mary, immaculately conceived, always had it together, that Saint Joseph was always so impeccably perfect that he never could have made a mistake, and that Jesus, of course, being God and Son of God, was so perfect as a child that there would be no stress or pain in their family at all. And yet, we see that in spite of their own particular graces, which are many, the Holy Family still lives in a world which is so imperfect, and they themselves experience a great deal of turmoil, and yes, even suffering and pain. So we have to make sure we don't have a caricature of the Holy Family. How did they experience all this? Well, just think about it. Jesus, as I said, was born poor. Mary and Joseph are so poor that they end in such difficult situations that he has born in a stable. He's surrounded by animals, born on straw. I mean, can there be anything more lowly than that? And immediately, right after his birth, the mad King Herod wants his life. In his utter hatred for Jesus, he puts a death sentence on his head and seeks him out. This is incredible, how Herod seeks to kill this child. And Joseph and Mary flee to Egypt, becoming refugees because of this mad man Herod who wants to kill their child. When they finally return, Jesus lives in obscurity with his family. Although he is so incredible as God and Son of God, you would never know it because he grows up so humbly with the Holy Family. Joseph himself finally is looking with Mary to search out Jesus as he's lost for 3 days in the temple. And that's our gospel today for the Holy Family, which just goes to show that you could have this seemingly perfect child, and Jesus is perfect as God and Son of God, and yet because of the reality of our world with all of its imperfections, great pain and misunderstandings can even be present there. Remember what Mother Mary said, "Child, how could you have done this to your father and I?" And Jesus says to them, "Certainly you must have known that I would be in my Father's house." Mary treasured all these things in her heart. And of course, Mother Mary and Jesus had to experience loss in the Holy Family too, because it's believed that at some point between the finding of Jesus in the temple and his public ministry, that his father Joseph died. So at a relatively young age for Jesus Christ, his father Joseph passes away, with all of the difficulties that would entail. So rather than create a caricature of the Holy Family, we realize right away that this family isn't really holy just because they receive lots of graces. They're holy because in spite of the difficulties of family life, which they experienced, they themselves are faithful to one another, living for one another, and sacrificing for one another. And I think here is a great really model for family life. It shows us that holiness can be found even or especially in the difficulties of family life. And every one of us has our own difficulties in family life, whether it's painful memories, misunderstandings, whether it's anger. There are so many things that can happen, including resentment. This is the place, though, where holiness can happen, provided we are open to God's graces and we work with them. You know, Jesus chose to grow up in a family for a reason. There's no substitute for it. It is a wonderful way in which each of us can grow in holiness. And in spite of its difficulties, it's well worth being in family, because it's there that we experience love. Pain, of course, but also love, tremendous sacrifice. And it's the place in which we grow in the virtues that will allow us to be happy with God forever in heaven. On this special feast day, May God bless you and your family.